Welcome to Brampton Focus. It's been one of those promises that you've heard on the electoral stump for years. It's called all-day, two-way GO service, and there's a very good chance that it may be a reality. My name is Michael A. Charbon. Next on Brampton Focus, we hear from the Premier of Ontario, Kathleen Wynne. We hear from the Minister of Transportation, Mr. Del Duca, and we do a one-on-one interview with the Mayor of Brampton, Linda Jeffries, all about all-day, two-way GO, next on Brampton Focus. Welcome to another edition of Brampton Focus. My name is Michael A. Charbon. In this next half hour, we're going to deal with something that you've heard a million times from the provincial candidates, the municipal candidates. It's been decades that they've been promising all-day, two-way GO. Well, there's an important announcement that took place that basically stated to Ontarians that you will be able to take a GO train from Union Station to Brampton, to Bramalea, and to Kitchener. They're electrifying the super corridor. Very important announcement. Earlier this week, our Mayor of Brampton, Linda Jeffries, attended a press conference with Kathleen Wynne, our Premier, speaking about this very important point.
Waterloo Region's relentless drive to be at the forefront of the global economy never fails to impress. When I come here, I'm so aware of the more than 1,000 tech companies generating $20 billion in annual revenue, 2,200 startups in the last 5 years alone. We need to make sure that the ideas, the enthusiasm, and the entrepreneurialism of this region are all supported and that they are spreading. So as part of our GO Regional Express Rail project to build electrified service on core segments of track, we've been preparing to bring two-way, full-day GO service between Kitchener and Union Station. And today I have some great news. First, Metrolinx and CN Rail have an agreement in principle to continue the planning and design work on the Kitchener Rail corridor that connects Waterloo Region to Toronto. That's an extremely important part of the puzzle. So the agreement in principle is to build a new freight corridor so that CN can shift most of its freight traffic off the section of the Kitchener line it currently owns. And that would allow us to add more and more GO service along the Kitchener corridor from Union through Brampton, Bramalea, Guelph, and all the way here to Kitchener. And I think it's so significant that we have mayors, councillors, MPPs from all along that line demonstrating the very connectivity that we're talking about. It would allow us to build GO Regional Express Rail and ultimately deliver fast electric two-way all-day GO train service between Waterloo Region and Toronto. Yeah, very good. So, you know, we've been talking about building the innovation super corridor for some time now. Today, we can be confident that it's not just a dream, it's not just a plan for tomorrow. Two-way, all day, today is a reality that our government is well on the way to delivering.
Really important news. Isn't that something? We actually have gotten to that point now. What Kathleen Wynne has said, they're basically going to electrify this northern corridor, and they're going to have service all day, two-way GO. That's a pretty important announcement. When you consider that rail corridor, I mean, the deal that they had to do with CN, to be able to take some of their freight traffic, build another line, but at least divert it so we can make that connectivity is very, very important. And when you look at the larger picture, transportation, infrastructure, connecting Brampton to the rest of Ontario is very, very important. We also had a chance to listen to what Minister Del Duca had to say, who is a transport minister for the Government of Ontario.
It's because of the collaboration between the provincial government and our rail partners that we are able to announce today that the Ontario Liberal government has secured an important agreement in principle with CN that will allow for electrified two-way all-day GO service to be built on the entirety of the Kitchener GO corridor. This agreement in principle helps to advance the planning and technical analysis that's needed for the construction of a new freight corridor that will shift most of CN's freight traffic between Georgetown and Bramalea to the new corridor, which will of course free up capacity on the GO corridor so that we can increase service from Brampton all the way out here to Kitchener. This means that we'll be able to provide GO train service that meets the growing demand from this region and all of the communities along the corridor with respect to that fast, frequent service that I know you've all been looking for. It's the news that communities like Kitchener, but also like Guelph, and I mentioned Minister Liz Sandals, but of course her mayor, Cam Guthrie, is here as well. I know you've been calling for it. It's the transit progress that Vic Dillon and our Brampton members, and of course Mayor Jeffrey, have also been asking for us, and frankly Mayor Tory. I know that Mayor Tory from Toronto was here in the region not that many weeks ago to talk about the importance of liberating this corridor from an economic perspective. Today's news means that more trains at more times of the day in both directions will be a reality.
Well, if you're a Bramptonian, you've got to be excited about that news. Finally, all-day, two-day go. Now, you also have to take into consideration, this is taking place in 2024, but this Liberal government in 2014 promised that they were going to do this assignment, and Kathleen Wynne has come through. You also have to consider that there's design, there's construction, completing the deal with CN, and being able to orchestrate this whole thing. But still, imagine, Union Station, Bramalea, Brampton, and Kitchener, all connected, is a huge, huge piece of the future of Brampton, and it's all positive. When we return, we speak to Linda Jeffrey, the mayor of Brampton, right here on Brampton Focus. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Brampton Focus. It's called the Innovation Super Corridor, basically bookending Waterloo and Kitchener. And what the announcement said, as you heard from our premier, will eventually allow you to take a GO train from Union Station to Bramalea to Brampton and all the way to Kitchener. Very huge. One of the quotes that Kathleen Wynne said was that every dollar we spend on transit grows our economy, it creates jobs and strengthens our cities and our communities. I'm joined by the Mayor of Brampton, Madam Mayor Linda Jeffrey, who was there for the big announcement today. Madam Mayor, what does this mean for the city of Brampton?
I think there were 3 announcements that the Premier made today, but more particularly for Brampton. She talked about that additional service, and she talked about the plan to evaluate an additional line that will take the freight off of the line that currently is used by a lot of Brampton commuters and really causes the backup that a lot of our ability to put extra lines on has been hampered by. So I think this is very good news. It's an important step forward with CN, and that negotiation has taken a significant period of time, and we're really pleased that all the players are at the table and that we're moving forward to get better service for Brampton.
Mayor Jeffrey, one of the platforms that you ran on to be elected as a mayor of Brampton was promoting all-day, two-way go. Now with CN announcing that they are going to come to the table and they're going to start diverting some of their freight lines, how long do you see it's going to take to come to Brampton all-day, two-day go?
This is absolutely an important step. We've got 14 extra trips actually in the last year from the province of Ontario, and that's important. But any additional lines certainly gives flexibility, gives choice to businesses, to residents wanting to go back and forth between Kitchener-Waterloo and Toronto. So this is something that all mayors along that line have been talking about, building an innovation hub for businesses, for residents, for people who want to invest in the Ontario market. We are now a far more attractive place to put those dollars and to see your employees go back and forth, and also those who want to invest in our community. So this is an extraordinary step. It's something that the province promised they would deliver, and they have delivered. I'm very grateful that Brampton is the beneficiary of this announcement today.
Premier Wynne announced $43 million towards Kitchener as a hub. Do you see any of that money coming to Brampton?
I have very strong feelings that that money will benefit Brampton. Anytime you improve anything along the line, we all are the beneficiaries. And in fact, Metrolinx was here today, and we talked about the research that they were going to do with our downtown hub. And certainly our GO service is going to be better, not only in our downtown, but it will be better at Bramalea Station. A lot of the businesses are going to be taking a fast bus from Kitchener to our downtown station, as well as to Bramalea, to get those additional service enhancements. So this is all good for Brampton. We're part of a consortium of mayors that have been advocating and now achieving decisions by the province of Ontario that benefit all of our communities. again, if the water goes up, all boats float. We are the beneficiary, and we know that Mayor Tory is supportive of it, as well as all the mayors along the Kitchener, Waterloo, Guelph, and Brampton lines.
I like that. If the water rises, all boats float. That's very good. Bruce McQuaig, who is the president and CEO of Metrolinx, actually stated today that increasing rail capacity, whether for freight or for commuter traffic, is an imperative element to grow our Ontario economy. When will Brampton see a positive effect of this announcement, do you think?
I think that a lot of it's going to depend on the timing of some of the environmental studies that will have to go along to do with the expropriation of some of the lands. But actually, a lot of it's in transit corridors already. I think we're going to see some results within the 5 to 7 year period, maybe sooner. But I think that it's really helpful when you have all parties rowing in the same direction, talking about the same priorities being important, and we do. We have mayors along the line that are supportive. We have provincial representatives that are advocating for us at Queen's Park, and really now we have a federal partner that is interested in making sure that these approvals are expedited, and I feel really good about that. And more importantly, as a mayor in an area that's very dense and I hope becomes more dense, I'm happy to have the freight traveling on a different line so that my commuters are traveling more quickly, more easily, and with a lot of choice. This is a good day for Brampton. This is an extraordinary next step in this transit plan that the province has put forward, and I look forward to future announcements.
Totally agree. It is a good day for Brampton. Final question for you, Madam Mayor. With the increased accessibility and the positive nature of this announcement, other than the Bramalea station, which is basically just north of City Hall, do you see any further creation of Brampton stations to increase, if one would say, the access to Bramptonians to this wonderful service?
That isn't something we talked about today, but I'm interested in finding more ways for my residents to get back and forth, whether they're going west or they're going east, north or south. These are all the opportunities that we need to give our businesses and our residents choice, because we want them to stay in Brampton, we want them to keep investing in Brampton, and we have a great quality of life. So the more opportunities we can find, and I'm open to suggestions from our residents, I ask them to engage. I talked about this, I think, in my very first speech as mayor, that I wanted people not to just mark an X next to a name and a ballot. I wanted the conversation, the outreach, and the communication between us to be strong. So if residents have ideas and suggestions about how we can make transit better, work better in Brampton, I'm all ears.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Linda Jeffrey taking time to speak to us here on Brampton Focus. Well, when we return, we're going to talk to one of those residents. This gentleman is a resident from Ward 1 in Brampton, and his name is Andrew DeGroot. And we're going to talk about all-day two-way go and about the LRT. My name is Michael A. Charbon. You're watching Brampton Focus. When we return, right after this, more on all-day two-way go.
Minister Del Duca, you said you would steam ahead with your officials, and today you clearly have rolled into the station, not only for Kitchener, Waterloo, and Waterloo Region, but in fact for all of the municipalities along the Toronto-Waterloo Region Innovation Corridor.
That was Barry Vrabanovich. He's the mayor of Kitchener. You can see how he's all excited. Electrifying that corridor is a really important aspect. And when you think about connecting Union Station, Bramalea, Brampton, and Kitchener, very important development, particularly for infrastructure. Now, it's going to all come true in about 2024, but still, all-day, two-way go, as far as Ontario is concerned, is a reality. Now, when you talk about engaging people in the community who are all about talking about transportation and the betterment of Brampton, my next guest is a Ward 1 resident. He's a member of a group called One Brampton, and he's always been an ardent supporter of the LRT, and particularly one of those guys who's a behind-the-scenes fighter. He even went to the extent to write a letter to the councillors of Brampton and the mayor, and it was called Fight Gridlock in Brampton. Please welcome Andrew DeGroot. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us on Brampton Focus.
Thanks for having me.
We'll talk about the LRT in a second. I want to talk about this all-day two-way go. This really is an important connective element for the people of Brampton. Relates to the LRT in a sense, of course, but what do you see as far as its development for Brampton and connecting Brampton to the rest of Ontario?
Well, it's a major milestone for the city. Council has been talking about this for about 30 years, trying to connect us with Toronto and communities west of the city in a all-day and consistent manner. So very happy that this is here, at least in principle. The contract between CN and Metrolinx is in place now, which is great. And I think from a employment perspective, great opportunities for Brampton. Employees from east and west of Brampton will be able to come to the city and work here, but it also gives us that consistency of transit that can create a corridor, or our place in the corridor for an anchor for jobs.
Now, when you talk about that being the northern corridor, if you wish, the connection of Union Station, Bramalea, Brampton, and Kitchener, when you talk about connecting to the southern corridor, and then we start to talk about the LRT. On October 27th, I believe it was, yes, October 27th, 2015, Brampton basically opted out of $1.6 billion of mass investment, of which about $400 million was going to go to Brampton, and now they're only left with about $200 million, and that's the connectivity of the LRT. With this announcement happening, it basically electrifies the Bramalea station, just north of City Hall. How do we approach now resurrecting the discussion of the LRT? Because without the LRT connecting to that, we're going to miss out in connecting to Mississauga and all the southern element, right?
Right. Well, Council has said all along that for 30 years, all-day two-way go is their number one priority. The challenge with that is only about 12% of Brampton people work in the Toronto region. 66% of people work within Peel, and the vast majority of those in Mississauga, because Brampton only has enough jobs for about 4 to 10 people. So, about 6 out of 10 of the jobs or the people that commute outside of Brampton go down to Mississauga. So yeah, that connectivity, absolutely critical, both directions. So we need to get out to the jobs wherever they are, but also as we bring a university into the city, and as the tech corridor becomes a reality, and Brampton sits on, assuming the LRT comes up Main, sits at the T of that tech corridor and the LRT, we potentially become a very important hub for activity.
So I'm gonna take on that point. Comes up Main. One of the contentious issues of the LRT was about Main Street, and they're saying, oh, you're going to destroy the heritage access, if you wish, to Brampton. So they considered 3 other areas. They considered a Kennedy route, they considered a McLaughlin route, and they considered the creek route, or as you would say, the floodplain area. Unfortunately, with that, the Toronto Regional Conservation Area did an evaluation of the creek routes and said that it wasn't going to work. Would it not be the natural conclusion, and some would say that that was what was purported on October 27th, 2015, that Main Street would be a direct connective point to the Bramalea station, which is just beyond the bridge north of City Hall? How do we resurrect that discussion?
Well, I'm hoping that Council has said all along their top priorities are all-day two-way go, and then Queen Street, and then third is Main Street. All-day two-way go is now here, right? So that takes that one off the table as a competing interest for the money and the attention of Council. Queen Street is in the process of being studied and built, so I think it's time now to bring Main Street back as an option. The other 3 that they have suggested have drastic problems with all 3 of them. Yeah. Main Street is the only one that still makes any sense. And from a Brampton taxpayer perspective, the other 2 options, assuming the creek is gone, because at TRCA won't allow it to happen.
The creek is gone. I mean, the conservation area says no, and you don't want to build on a creek bed. I mean, exactly. A floodplain area. So.
Right. So the other 2 options are going to cost Brampton taxpayers $300 million, roughly, each, because the province has said they will not fund them. So we have an option of going up Main Street, fully funded by the province, or 2 alternates that extend the route within Brampton by about 5%, and it's going to cost us $300 million.
The objection between going up Main Street is it's a heritage location. There are some, how should one say, some influential financial people who are involved that have had some influence potentially. When you look at the access of Main Street and you look at the LRT that's come up to Steeles from Mississauga, it's a natural connection. It's when you look at the hospital, when you look at a potential university. How do we tackle this? I mean, you're a Ward 1 resident. How do you mobilize the rest of your Bramptonian residents to say we need to get a decision on this and we need it now? Because you've already missed $200 million.
Right. So we're going out in the community, the One Brampton, and a fellow or another group called Fight Gridlock. The two of us are going into the community. We are trying to rally the troops, get the message out. Council has done a fairly poor job, and Brampton staff have done a fairly poor job of advising the citizens of what is going on here. So. In our conversation, it still seems about 95% of the people have no idea an LRT isn't even coming.
I would say some of the councillors would disagree with you. I mean, they had a town hall meeting at the Rose Theatre that was the complete discussion was broadcast live on Rogers Television. I would also say that many of the councillors have said that they represented what their constituents want. The vote was so close. To resurrect this, one would definitely have to have a huge push. What can you do as a Ward 1 resident to motivate your elected council to reconsider this? Because this is huge. Without this connective nature, it could really lessen the positive impact of what all-day two-way go would bring.
Yeah, I just look at the facts. The facts are this is the right route. The facts are this is going to cost Brampton taxpayers the least. If you look at the uproar there was for funding the Beast for 3 years at a total of $1.5 million, to study these two additional routes, the staff report that's going to be discussed on next Monday, the 20th, staff are asking for $10 to $15 million to study each route. So up to $30 million we spent
just to study
these, not even shovels in the ground yet. We don't have that money. That's half the money, by the way, that was put into Peel Memorial Hospital.
So what's the next steps, Andrew? From a concerned Brett, now, do you have any inkling to run for office?
Not at all.
All right. So there's not an ulterior motive, and I had to ask you that question because I want to know. So as a concerned resident and someone who lives in Ward 1, what do you see are the next steps that we have to take to do this?
Well, I'm asking as I talk to people, and our group talks to people, and people come to us asking about us.
Right.
It's write your councillor, it's call your councillor, it's call the mayor, let them know that we don't want our taxes going up for a route that it doesn't make sense, and trying to convince these at least one or two of the councillors that voted no to vote yes, because we were only short one vote back in October.
With less than a minute to go, we really want to encourage your Brampton residents to be encouraged by this and to know that this is a positive thing. All-day two-way go is a reality. CN has done that. Although it's a couple of years off, now is a time to plan. There will be positive effects, one would say, with the hospital and the university coming, taking advantage of this too, you would think?
Absolutely, yeah. So we've got the innovation corridor.
Right.
That's going to have a big impact on jobs in the city. All-day two-way go will be bringing people to the city. The university will be hopefully somewhere along that line, bringing students and keeping them in the city. So this is a great news day for the city.
Perfect. Andrew DeGroot, a Ward 1 resident and a member of One Brampton. You too can energize your vote. Contact your councillor and participate in your city, because all-day two-way go is here, a university is coming, and we have a hospital being built. All those elements are critical. My name is Michael A. Sherbon. You've been watching Brampton Focus. Thanks for watching. Look forward to hearing from you soon.